Ludus Vulpes.
Welcome to Ludus Vulpes. My name's Kirsty.
I'm Phil, and we have. I'm Joe,
And I'm Maddie, and we are the co-designers of Solar 175.
which is live now on Kickstarter.
18 more days.
Yes.
Exactly.
And we are Cogito Ergo Meeple.
Yes.
Thank you for pronouncing that. I was looking at my games for I anticipated games for the year, and Solar 175 was just like properly on my radar. It was like with some nervousness. It was like, and the nervousness came from. I think we just talked about it off camera, but we talked the fact it almost looks a bit dungeon crawly. You've got some like chunky miniatures, but then you read the description and you put El Grande and Orleans in there. And I was like, right, I need to know more about this game. So, would you just like to quickly go through a little bit of where the idea came from and a little bit about how the game plays?
Excellent. So, that one.
Go for it.
So, Solar 175 is a massive legacy game for 1 to 5 players, and it's a Euro style game.
Yes.
So, it is not, although it has that sort of look, a 4X game. It's more 3X. It doesn't have the fighting. It is inspired very much by Orleans, so it has that sort of engine of bag building and worker placement. But it also has a lot of other sort of history as well and inspirations behind it. So there's area control, which is similar to games like El Grande, as you mentioned. But there's also a legacy aspect. So this campaign will last over well, actually it ends really, but there's a sort of initial campaign that goes from 20 to 100 hours. And things will be changing in the game, sort of a la, Legacy or Blue Haven. And we've also got some mechanics of our own in there. So there's a voting mechanic that sort of we don't think we've seen before elsewhere.
This, by the way,
yes,
this little box makes the game painfully exciting.
Yeah, have a vote. Yeah.
So you actually write on the little voting tokens with a whiteboard marker, and then they're hidden and they go into the ballot box, and that affects the scoring at the end of the game. So there's a lot going on in this game, and there's over 100 components that will be introduced as you play the campaign.
Just a handful of components. And although this is a pre-production copy, it's pretty much locked in at the component quality. You said there's a few changes.
Yes. We see the changes all the time.
Yes, we see them, but people generally don't. Yeah, there's just a few minor changes, but we really wanted to make this pre-production copy still really good quality, so people can actually see what they will be getting, like the vibe of what they'll be getting.
Yeah.
It will be like this, but better. This one doesn't have. This one doesn't have some of the stretch goals, for example. Yeah, we've hit quite a few already, so they're not in here now, but they will be. Yeah.
Bear in mind that this is actually better component quality than some of the games I own that have got all the way through production. So,
thank you.
Thank you very much. These ones, although they're not as good as the final version, they're certainly the most expensive version.
Yeah,
a small
We'll be checking your pockets before you walk away.
Singularly the most expensive.
Unfortunately, I don't know if it's expensive to anybody else.
I'll chase you. I'm warming up. I'm ready.
But no, the player boards are great. So recessed player boards, like things can't get knocked, which I just absolutely adore. The other thing is because you got this like the magazine. There's like a whole set of world building going on there as well. And do you want to just talk a little bit about the world building? And because it's so imprinted on the game as well with unpronounceable companies.
Nice. Well, actually, that's where the game started. We started by creating this world, and then the gameplay sort of slotted in, and we sort of worked with that. But we made this magazine. So in the magazine, there's interviews from different people and their lives and stuff, and what's going on different planets. There's also corporation and political ads, so you get an idea about what they're trying to vie for and things like that. And there's a ton of narratives too. So there'll be QR codes that link you to different zones and locations, and you can listen to them or you can read through them. And it's just stories of people's lives and what they're doing and their relationships. It's deep.
It's,
Yeah.
the idea is it's like an artifact from the world that you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll have this sort of magazine. I mean, it says issue 77. Obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
But,
Where did the issues?
exactly.
Yeah.
But you'll sort of look at it and it'll immerse you in the world. We really wanted this to feel thematic in a way that Euros sometimes don't.
Yeah.
Hence why it gives that vibe of being a thematic game.
Yeah.
It's got the Euro feel of gameplay, but the real theme and story and narrative of a sort of legacy game.
Yeah.
I think we played a short version of the game yesterday. The political party on the side that you're voting for just feels ever so slightly sinister when you see a player to one of your sides
Yeah.
just going, okay, I'm just going to do this.
You're like, oh.
It's like, what are they planning? What are they doing? And it really defines like how you think about the game, which I think is actually a really wonderful feel, because you don't get that in many Euro games. That a small action from another player can really change how you think.
Yeah.
It was a way that we prompted player interaction, because we found that in a lot of games that might be only bag builders or only sort of Euros, you don't necessarily always feel like you're interacting and sat at a table with other people, because it's very much like I'm just doing this and that.
Which, to be honest, we love as well.
I do. But we just wanted to add that extra element. We came up with these political parties, and then by voting, it sort of changed it, shifted it, and I thought, well, now I want to be looking at like what you're doing over here, and what might they be voting for? Do I jump on the back of that, or do I sort of just go full steam ahead on my own strategy? So
It's the idea as well is it's sort of our last two games had sort of a bit of philosophy behind them, and hence our name. But this one it's much more subtle than that, but it's you're going to be put into interesting situations. So the voting, for example, it's very cynical. You're using your lobbyists in a completely corrupt system in a corrupt society, and you're just doing whatever you can that's the best for your corporation. But and without wanting to spoil too much, as the story progresses, you're going to maybe be questioning that a little bit. And there's no sort of right or wrong answer. One of the games I really love is a video game. It's Papers, Please, and it's a really interesting game where you play as a border guard in a sort of dystopian fascist society. And you're just constantly put in. It's a very simple game. People come in and you have to either let them through or not. But if you don't let them through, you don't get paid, and then your family don't get fed, and there's lots of things there. But there's lots of reasons why you want to let them through, because they really need help, and so there's no obvious right answer. And this game will put you in similar situations where it's not like here's the right answer and here's the bad answer.
It's not.
You're going to be like, right, nothing's obvious. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Which is where the most interesting answers are.
And I guess for me, the frustration of playing the game yesterday was like we can't see the legacy element. We don't want to see the legacy element. We want to wait because they look and sound wonderfully exciting, and that narrative, sort of an emerging narrative through the game, sounds like it's going to be a fascinating way of progressing the story.
It's very hard to show like this because you play a game and you get the game mechanism rather, and you don't get to see the story and the world building that goes around it.
And the mechanisms are really smooth and incredibly generous as well. And obviously with games like Orleans, you find that as well. You're constantly getting more and more and more. But that like really smooth feel, really easy play, level of play for some tricky decisions. Was that a conscious decision to keep that smooth and flowing?
Well, initially we had too many ideas of everything we wanted in this game. And when we were playtesting it, like very early on, it was just too much. You were forgetting to do things, and it was, a bundle of all of our ideas thrown together. So it was difficult, but we had to part with some, and then
so hard getting rid of those things that you really like. Like to give an example, we had a mechanism in the game where it was sort of like the tragedy of the commons dilemma in economics, where if something is commonly owned, everybody sort of overuses it and it gets it's corrupt and destroyed. But so we were going to have that with moving around the solar system, where you would create space junk, and then as
the further you move, the more you create
and
it.
We loved the idea. It was very cool, but it meant in gameplay wise that the more you did stuff, the harder it was to move. So instead of feeling more powerful, it just got
less
more and more clogged up and less. And so it was a cool idea, but it didn't really work.
It just didn't translate very well. So that had to go.
Bye.
Yes.
Goodbye, space junk. No space littering in solar.
I think it would have to go into like a semi-cooperative game or something like that.
Maybe it's a follow-up and the corporation decide they need to clean up space.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Take that idea.
I don't know if these guys would. They're not very nice corporations.
So one thing that really drew me to the game was the artwork and the use of colour, because obviously a lot of space and galaxy is very dark because that's all we see. But the use of art in this game is stunning. How did you find your artist?
Ooh, well, our main artist is actually a friend of a friend. Yes,
That's ideal.
It really was. He's so talented. We saw some of his artwork on social media. Got talking to him at Wetherspoons pub, classic.
As you do.
As you do. And and he did a load of dystopian sort of vibe art, and he actually has a PhD in physics as well. So we were like, get over here.
Yeah, so he really added something to the sci-fi.
He really added it. And he really understood what we wanted. So
he's not the only artist we use. Like, for example, the box cover. This is a Thai artist who bought the rights to some of the images that he's done, and we loved his style of sort of cyberpunk painting. There's a few different artists that we've worked with this, and
that was purposeful.
There is a reason for that. I can't really say too much without spoiling anything.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
But basically, you want the world to feel big, right? It's not necessarily all streamlined, all the same person, but in a world that's so vast, having different sort of types of art and slightly different vibes is sort of what we were going for. I think that's all I can really
there's without wanting to give too much away, there's elements with the art of which world are you inhabiting?
Yes.
And maybe there's not just one.
Very interesting.
So before the four of us talk about Kickstarter, let's see the Kickstarter trailer.
It's been 175 years since the unspeakable war. As humanity emerged from the ashes and once again spread to the stars, the vast riches of the solar system should have pushed us into an age of plenty, a true utopia. But instead, the divisions of wealth have never been greater, and conflict is once again on the horizon. But the tragedies of our past will not be a prophecy of the future. You won't be seduced like all those who went before you. This time, it will be different.
So the Kickstarter is currently live and going so well.
Yes.
You got 18 days, 17, 18 days left.
About that,
Yeah.
yeah.
What's your ambitions for, where do you think you're going to, where would you like to get to? And obviously, multi-million pound, Brandon Sanders, obviously, we'd all like to.
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth.
But for us, honestly, we just wanted to be funded. And that's happened, and so everything else now is a bonus. We were never anticipating it to do as well as it has, so it's brilliant that it is. And so what we're trying to do is basically just put more into it, but sensibly, so we know it can be created, but we can use the economies of scale to make it better. That's why this version, we thought would be the final version, but we've got stretch goals now that have made it even better. This is getting thicker. We've got linen finished things. It's
I think that thick is the next one, isn't it?
Yeah.
That might happen today. I'm hoping.
Fingers crossed.
Should refresh.
I don't think it's far off now, is it?
No.
We're pretty close to the next one. Yeah. So the answer is more will make the game better, but I think we're already at a point where we're very happy with what it is. So
That's good.
Excellent. And have you got more stretch goals already planned, or are you pulling them out of thin air now?
No, you have to plan for success. Right? We have looked into.
We plan for success, and we plan to hopefully get to this point. So we're grateful.
There's plenty more still to come.
Yes,
That's exciting.
yes.
Well, thank you for your time today. Solo 175 is currently live on Kickstarter. Go and have a look at the campaign. The game plays fantastically well, wonderful mechanics. Feel free to back it because you should.
Definitely
It's fantastic.
should.
So thank you to Joe.
Yes.
Thank
you
you,
very much.
Joe. Right.
We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search Ludus Vulpes.
Yes, definitely watch.
Bye.